Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Here we are on episode 36, a SLOPJAW Christmas story. I have two incredible guests, and I'm going to interview a local Martinsburg hardcore metal punkish band, and I'm going to have a lot of fun with this. I'm going to pass to my first guest, and I'm going to ask him to introduce himself, tell our audience what you do in the band, and then we'll pass to the second.
How you doing? I'm Troy Seitz, and I'm SLOPJAW's drummer.
Cool.
I'm Troy Raffensberger, and lead vocals and guitar. We're just a three-piece.
Let's talk about the third band member who's not here today. Why don't both of you, I'll start with you, Troy, say a few words about him, and I'll pass to the other Troy.
So Rob Adair is our bass player. He's in Hagerstown, and he's been with us for, about 4 years now? Since we reunited.
Yes. Yep.
Say a few words about him.
He's a unique bass player, that's for sure. He sees things on a different path than I would. So it comes out pretty interesting. And what's different than our previous bass player, he brings a lot of effects to the mix. So even though we're a three-piece, we try to make a lot of noise.
I gotcha. Let me ask with both of you, so I'll start with you, Troy, and then we'll go to the other Troy. What do you consider the genre of music that you guys play?
It's somewhere in the realm of metal.
Metal.
I think we're a product from, the early to mid 90s when music was going through so many changes and there were so many options out there, and we just kind of blended in with all of it. So we had the metal roots from, our 80s, like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Black Sabbath stuff from earlier than that. And I think then you get into bands that were like Primus, Scatterbrain with that funky sound. And we kind of adopted that, and we picked up a lot of hardcore, a lot of punk stuff, and it's just a lot. I mean, we just mashed it all together.
Same with you, Troy. Is that an accurate description of the...
It's very interesting because in the early 90s, a lot of our songs were considered heavy, but if you listen to it now, well, that's not the case. So, but we're well diverse, and I hear a lot of things in our music.
I love that. One of the things I really like to talk to musicians about is with each one of you, if you don't mind sharing with the audience your actual history with music. How old were you when you started learning to play, and how old were you the first time you played in a band that was public? And just share with a little bit of the audience some of your career.
I think I got my first drum set when I was probably 2. It was pots and pans and wooden spoons on the kitchen floor, and I think my parents were probably like, "Oh, look, he could be a drummer." And I think by age 4, I got a drum kit for Christmas, and here I'm this 4-year-old little kid that's probably full of energy and ADHD and all that stuff, and I beat the crap out of them on Christmas Day. I broke every one of them. Next morning, I woke up, and I didn't care if they were broken. I was still going to beat on them. And where's my drums? And my dad pointed out the window, and I looked outside, and they were by the curb for the trash man to pick up. And he said, "You'll never play drums in my house ever again." And I think growing up, as you go through school, it's time to be in the band. Can I play drums? No, ain't going to happen. So I tried to play saxophone and failed miserably because I wasn't into it.
Right.
And I always told my parents, like, someday I'm going to be a drummer. And when I turned 18, I had a job, had some money, got an opportunity to buy a kit off of some other friends that had some interest in playing drums, and they lost that interest, and I bought the drums, for a good price, and I come rolling into my parents' house, 18 years old, with probably, at that time it was an 8-piece drum set, double bass Tama, huge kit, same kit that Shannon used to play in Wrathchild, and my dad's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm taking these drums to the basement." He's like, "Well, when are you going to play them?" I'm like, "Whenever I can." And he said, "I'll tell you what, when I'm not here, you can play the drums." So I went and got a calendar, and I set the calendar down on the kitchen table, and I said, "Do me a favor, start writing on this calendar when you're not going to be here, because when you're not here, I'm going to be playing these drums."
Practice days, that's awesome.
And every day, if I could get home from my job before they did, even if it was 10 minutes, I'd go downstairs and start beating on the drums until I saw the lights flickering, and then I had to stop. And It took me, probably a good 6 or 7 months, and I met this other guy. He had a building out behind his parents' house, and he was playing bass. I think it's Ryan Harpster was his name. He said, "Man, why don't you bring your drums over to my little building, and we'll play, and we'll create a little punk band." And I'm like, "Awesome! Can we play every day?" He's like, "Sure." So I started doing that, and then I just kept moving around until I found a home, which was down in Marlow at a friend of ours, Gabe Jackson's house. And once the drums landed there, it was 4 or 5 hours a day, every day, 7 days a week. Led it into multiple bands at one time, and I did that all through my 20s. Yep.
No, that's fantastic. Same question to you, Troy. How old were you when music starts becoming part of your consciousness, and the first few bands that you remember playing in?
I was into sports big time when I was a kid, baseball, karate, that stuff. And but around 85, I started hanging around some neighborhood kids that were older than me and turned me on to Venom, Exodus, Slayer, bands like that. And so I was listening to extreme heavy music before I decided to play guitar. I think I picked up a guitar when I was around 17, 18 years old. I was all ear. I listened, like I would get the, how the old tape players, you put it on record, pause, and stick a 1/4-inch jack into it, and then you can play your guitar through the speakers, and that's what I had. So, but there was this fellow from California that came around. His name was Butch, and he's really good. He went to MIT and all that stuff. And when I seen that dude play guitar, it was somewhere around right before I was 20 years old. I was like, I want to do that. So that's what I did. I picked up a guitar and conned my parents into getting me this little PV Bandit amp. And, I played like 8-10 hours every day until I thought I was doing something, and a lot of these guys were like playing in bands in the early 90s, and I was practicing. Then all of a sudden, I was at Gabe's house, that fella he mentioned, and I think it was Rob Smith. From
the Voodoo Live Gods, yeah.
He said, "What'd you do there?" Man, that's pretty cool. Why ain't you in a band? So, not too long after that is when SLOPJAW got together. We all did drywall in the daytime, all of us.
Yep.
And we ended up getting together, and that was the first band I was in, SLOPJAW, and then... the bass player thing happened in January of 96, because I remember that plain as day. We went into practice, and it was very cold. Where's the heater at? So we walked in there, and there was a bows and trash bags and ribbons and notes. And
yeah, notes.
What's this? Where's Gary? So we started reading this stuff, and he left everything and just went across, to the West Coast with nothing on his back and left us everything. So I'm pretty sure we looked for a bass player, but I really don't remember what happened too much after that. I ended up joining a band, 16 Cylinder, for a while. And then at the same time we were in the studio, I joined Impending Doom, and then they became Abraham's Meat Plow. So we did a lot, if you ever heard of those guys. That was very exciting days. And then everything came to a halt in around 2005. My son was born a couple years prior, and he's walking and talking, and Daddy was busy doing this, doing that, recording bands, playing in bands, and things happened with Abraham's Meat Plow, and I just decided to take a break for a long time. So. And started recording bands. I was into that for quite a while, but mostly staying at home. But
you switched gears.
Yeah, I did switch gears a little bit.
Life does that.
So then these guys started reaching out to me, wanting to know if I wanted to be in a cover tune band, and they know me. I've always wrote original music. I don't mind playing stuff, but I just don't. That's not my thing.
Well, I wouldn't say we were trying to do a cover tune band, but for me, I stopped playing at age 30. I got fed up with the whole band thing. I just couldn't do band things.
It was
anymore.
you and Donnie Purnell of Kicks.
Well, that was Brian. Brian was there too.
You guys got a hold of me and asked me if I was interested, and then I kind of wasn't. But so we started jamming, and then things just kind of I kept pushing the SLOPJAW. Let's play this. Let's play that.
Right.
So my whole thing was, I stopped playing, in my early 30s. And I kind of just switched gears to family life, started becoming more into fishing, hunting, outdoor stuff. And I was good with all that. COVID happened, and I was bored, and I started playing drums again. And, Donnie Parnell from Kicks lives right down the street from me. And him and I, we had some fun, just noodling around playing. But the original singer, Brian Eberhardt from SLOPJAW, I reached out to him, and I said, hey, man, I'm playing again. You still playing, let's just jam. Let's just have fun. And my idea was I wanted to have a little studio at the house and just have friends come over and play, which covers were the easiest thing to say. Why don't you learn this, that, and that? And we can just play them and have fun. And then it kind of rolled. And then when he got involved in it, he didn't want to just come over and play, Judas Priest songs and stuff. So we kind of started jamming on some old SLOPJAW stuff. Next thing you know, we're right back in it.
Great. No, that's awesome. Let's talk about the show that you guys have coming up. This is this coming Saturday. So I'll start with this, Troy. Tell us who you're playing with, and then we'll get the other Troy to tell us where the venue is.
Well, we are going to be playing on Saturday, December 13th at Raffensberger's in Catonsville, which is right outside of Baltimore. The bands that are going to be playing with us is Survived by Wolves in Sheep's Clothing, Fire of Olympus, Crimson Throne, Dreams of Eden, and a couple other bands. And it's going to be a good time, man. It opens up. It's all ages. I think the doors open at 5. Tickets on sale for 10, and I think at the door it's 15. But Raffensberger's a pretty good venue for metal and stuff like that. It's a good little club right there in Baltimore. Easy in and out, right off the Beltway. You don't have to go into downtown Baltimore. It's pretty much like being in downtown Martinsburg or Hagerstown.
Our friend Michael Maverick and the Chaos Effect, I know that they've played several times at Mossburgers. Say a few words about the show coming up on Saturday night. Are you excited about it?
Sure.
Tell us about it.
I don't have too much to say about it, really.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well,
I think it's
I'm
going to be
one
of the
heavy
weird
show.
ones, I'm always in a dark corner, not around anybody, and you'll see me come on stage. And then I'm out. So,
well, I think that you picked out the songs for the set list. I think it's a heavier show than normally. A lot of different songs, but I think he kind of wanted to make this one extra heavy, and I think it's going to be.
Yeah,
it's brutal.
Now, let's take a look at the couple. You sent us a few music videos, but we're going to take a look at 2 music videos. Nick, let's go ahead and play about 2 minutes from clip 1, and I'll have you guys tell us afterwards where it was and all that. 2 minutes.
What did you ask me? When you really didn't want to know. Stop making me take it up. You know I really don't want to.
Is that 2? Go ahead and bring it down, Nick. That's just a sampler. We're going to plug everything that you guys have social media-wise. Troy, talk about the song and then I'll ask the other Troy about the actual where you guys played at.
Well,
for
I'd
the
rather
song.
probably talk about playing. He'd probably be better to talk about the song. But
That'll
that
work.
That was also right outside of Baltimore at a really cool club. It's also a Mexican restaurant called Zen West.
Okay.
And as you can see in the production there, I mean, that place, that stage and the lighting schemes, the
Really
backdrop.
nice.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
incredible. It's
Yeah.
a great place to play. And again, it's another one of those neighborhoods that when you're there, you don't feel like you're in downtown Baltimore. You feel like you're in just like downtown Martinsburg or Hagerstown. No, I really enjoyed that show. That was a good show for us because we finally broke out of Hagerstown. I think that was probably the first time we played as a band in closer to a city at a venue like that, even from back in the day. Maybe it was just really cool.
No, that's awesome. Troy, what would you like to say about that?
That was a song called "Stop Breathing." It was one of our older songs from the early '90s that was written. It's about a bad relationship. So if you hear the lyrics, you'll understand all of it. So we still perform that song. It's a little rougher now, and I did have to change some things around because we lost a guitar player, and I played a lot of harmonics and harmonies over his riffs. So all that went away, and it's just, it's a little different now, a little rougher, but we still play that song. It's fun to play.
I think the cool thing about that song and SLOPJAW is what Rob, the bass player, brought to the table. Because you heard all those effects in there, and when we originally wrote that song and played it back in the mid-'90s, it was maybe a little more funky, but still the same driving rhythm. But when Rob took into it and he started playing with all his effects, and for me, the drummer, I don't hear a lot of that stuff. And then when I finally first heard it for the first time under a recording, I'm like, you do all that stuff in our music? He's like, yeah. I was like, well, that's badass. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
No, I love that. I really do.
You hear a lot of things when you record.
Yeah.
You've been playing that?
I got bad. I'm a drummer, so I have no ears. My ears are shot.
And we got another video that we're going to take a look at. Hey, Nick. Yep. All right, our next video is called Damn the Ones. Let's take a listen. That's good. You can go ahead and bring it down. Troy, that's you. All right. So we did have a good video with you. I love your vocals. That's fantastic. You have really good, strong vocals. So let's talk about being a singer. What's it like being a front man? What do you try to bring to the stage? Who are some of your influences?
Well, that particular show was sore. I had 3 broken toes. And that was the first time playing as a vocalist in SLOPJAW. And I was a little bit nervous.
No, you did
and
great.
I haven't heard that in a while, and I've already changed my vocal tones around for sure in that song. So it took me a while to learn where things fit. And a lot of the songs I went deeper, more guttural. and so yeah, but I enjoy it. It's a shame that I started singing all these years later because I was always in a dark corner, being a guitar player. But I mean, now I'm older and I got a bunch of pinched nerves, and boy, I just think if I could just have one day with no pinched nerves, I could probably destroy a stage with energy and aggression. But I mean, Slayer and Metallica, I grew up on those two bands, plain and simple. You know what I mean? I like Voivod a lot. That's where my backwards guitar weirdness comes from. And I tend to like, he doesn't like it, but I write a lot of stuff that's off time. Just off time. 3, 4s, 5s and 7s and 9s, and so I enjoy bringing that to the plate too when I can. So
He don't make it easy on me.
Yeah. What's it like having him as your vocalist?
Well, I mean, he drives me because I'm a self-taught drummer, so I just play by feel, and the more I feel, the more I play a certain way. And nothing against Brian, the former singer. I mean, he was great, did an awesome job singing and playing, but he didn't bring that aggressive, hard sound that this guy's bringing. And so now when we're practicing, I'm hearing that's making me play harder, maybe sometimes heavier, faster, more aggressive. And I think if you come to a SLOPJAW show now and you went to one before, I hope that you like it harder, faster, and more aggressive, because that's what you're going to get. I mean, we're ready to kick the world in the face with our new stuff.
No, that's awesome. Let's go ahead, Nick. We pull up the Spotify. You guys have Spotify. We wanted to make sure we plug all the social media that you guys have going on. And let me I'll ask Troy, from your Spotify, is there a song on there that's one of your favorites? And we'll listen to a minute of it, and then we'll do the same with the other Troy. Is there anything that you can think of?
Imperfectionist.
You want to listen? Let's try a minute of Imperfectionist. Nice. All right, you can go ahead and kill that. Let's talk about how long a song like this one, from idea to recording, what's that process like, Troy?
Back in the day, in the 90s, when we were all kids, didn't have anything to do and no responsibilities, we wrote everything in the same room, all of us. And we'd do it for hours and hours at a time, just piling up the riffs, just making the song longer and longer until we have the beginning and the end. The ending's always tough. But here lately, I bring complete bone packages. The riffs, the lyrics, my idea of a beat, and then, he'll listen to it. Rob will listen to it, and then and we just build it up from there. I never come to practice say you got to do exactly what this is. I want everybody's input on it, collaboration, but I bring the bones to practice, and then we build it up from there. So sometimes it's a longer process if I have goofy rhythms in it.
Right. Real quick on the Spotify, Nick, how about the same thing from you, Troy? Pick one of your favorite songs off of Spotify. Let's listen to a minute, and I want you to talk about why that's one of your favorite SLOPJAW recordings.
Well, I don't know. I guess we've already heard Stop Breathing, and so he did Imperfectionist. I don't know if I want to go slower.
Give us a slow one.
Down Again. That's a slow, a little bit more of a doom feel.
Yeah, let's hear that. Yeah. Down Again.
This is what I found. I can say it out loud.
go ahead and bring it down. That's fucking awesome. SLOPJAW. Talk a little bit about that song and why it's one of your favorites.
Well, I think for me, that song is, and we didn't get to that point in the song, it's a little further down the line, but there's actually a big mistake in that song. But it was a big mistake that nobody would ever know, and it actually made it really cool and really good. You know what I'm talking about?
That's the newest recording. You're talking about the recording from
Yeah,
the
but we
90s.
play. I know the playing in the '90s when we did it, and we recorded it. You know, we made a boo boo, and we just left it like that. And so when we relearned it currently and re-recorded that, we left the same boo boo in place.
Yeah.
You know, and it just it adds something to it. And
Yeah.
you would never know it's a mistake, but every time I hear it, I'm like, there it is.
Yeah.
There's the mistake. But it
Yeah,
sounds
that's
really
funny.
cool. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm like a BB in a boxcar, and I mean, even when I play by myself at home, I just want to race. I just want to play hard. I want to play fast. So slowing it down for me, you know, I do like the heavier, slower riffs a lot. But it takes a little more concentration for me, believe it or not. It's harder for me to concentrate on slow than just ripping and letting it loose.
No,
So that's a cool song because I got to think a little bit when I play that song.
And that's fascinating to hear. That really is. Like, you know, so I never even thought about those kind of things for a musician, the challenges of like a slower song to a faster song. So, and I know some of the influences you guys listed are some of my favorites too. I was fortunate enough to see Metallica in '85. I saw them open up for Ozzy Osbourne about a month before Cliff Burton died. But yeah, they're one of those, like the slow and then fast, you know. And with the lead singer of Slayer, I got to meet him and talk to him in a bar in New York City. I was in Soho, and it was called the Scrap Metal Bar or something like that. It was really fucking neat. The whole thing was made out of like metal and corrugated metal, and it was like a real popular place. There was like a MTV VJ outside of the door. It was fucking snowing, and my buddy that was with me was like, "That's Slayers," you know. So we got to talk to him. It was awesome. So let's plug all your social media. That's really important. So you guys have both a Facebook, a public Facebook, SLOPJAW, and a public Instagram that are linked. That's where you guys post your shows. And let everyone know what SLOPJAW has going on. So you want to scroll through it for a minute, Nick, and show any pictures or anything from SLOPJAW? There we go. I encourage everyone to follow the band, attend the shows, and then I got a note from each one of you guys. SLOPJAW. Tell me about the name.
Go ahead, Troy.
What's SLOPJAW?
Well, you know,
I didn't have nothing to do with
You can close that, Nick.
the honest truth was, if you want to know, it's kind of silly.
No, we like silly.
We were all working for a drywall company. We all had our own duties, and a lot of times we were separated. So when we landed on the same job site, you better watch out because
Yeah.
we got games. We always had
Right.
Oh, yeah.
putting rolls of tape up underneath this truck, so it'd be like 100 foot going down the road, But we worked with the boss's daughter. Her name was Misty.
Ooh, Misty.
I shouldn't have said her name, I don't think.
It's all right.
But I didn't say the
Don't
company.
you say the last name either. You're fine. You're good.
So,
You're good.
well, anyway, that's how SLOPJAW come around, because her mouth was sort of sloppy a lot.
I gotcha.
So, and that's how the name came.
Okay.
I
Somebody
like
said
that.
SLOPJAW, and I was like,
And that was a nickname.
that was it.
Right. That was a
I
nickname.
think I think by definition, SLOPJAW.
you get hit so hard in
You-
the face, it doesn't work.
Yeah, you get hit so hard in the head or the mouth that you're rendered speechless and you become a SLOPJAW. Blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of where it came
Yeah.
from.
No,
And
yeah.
I think over the years for me and every band I was in, it was always a battle to find a name for the band.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, we had a friend, and he was a little off. His name was Harold. Everybody called him Junior. And Junior loved music, and he was always there for us. He would walk to shows, and I'm talking miles and miles to get to shows just to hang out with us. And he had a book, and he would write down. Remember, he would write down names for like bands or songs, and we'd actually look through his book, and it'd be like, and I'll use his voice a little because he had a very unique voice. He'd be, well, what do you think about a morbid deaf maggot pie? Well, maybe that won't work. How about cemetery gravedigger? And he would come up with all these crazy names. And the one name that he never came up with that we probably should use one of his was, we came up with SLOPJAW, but we probably should use one of Junior's names from his book.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Okay, so this is where we're going to have a little bit of fun. You guys played a very notorious show in Frederick, Maryland. You guys opened for the Cro-Mags. This was about 2 years ago at Cafe 611. There was an incident there, and all three of us witnessed it. And for the first time ever in my life, I ended up in some kind of viral video. This is a Dan Frampton. I can't stand this fucking dude. I'm going to be honest. I've tried real fucking hard to stomach this dude. But, I know Paris Mayhew Mitchell from the Cro-Mags loves the dude, but I can't stand him. Play this. This is from, I encourage everyone to check out the whole clip, the whole Dan Frampton, the whole Destroy versus Cro-Mags, Destroy Magazine versus Cro-Mags. Nick, you want to go ahead and play it?
Supposedly Harley's nephew, another person as well as Harley. He was repeatedly beaten and kicked and punched as he fell to the ground, curling into a ball as he closed his eyes and covered his face. He was dizzy and delirious. We used pepper spray in self-defense, and our female editor used a taser to protect herself from assault. Tasers are legal in the state of Maryland to purchase without a permit, and are legal for use in self-defense situations. We acted in self-defense within the boundaries of the law. Now, when you're making your own statement, you don't need to say within the boundaries of the law, because you're not saying it to a lawyer, and the lawyers aren't involved right now. You can just say we acted in self-defense, because it is clear that you were acting in self-defense based on the story the way it's being told right now. Our female photographer went to save our editor, but she was grabbed by her arm by one person, and another man named Don Ramirez grabbed her by the throat. Don Ramirez is a former adjunct faculty at Shepherd University and self-proclaimed former employee of the Frederick Psychiatric Unit. They twisted her arm and said they were going to break it. Harley then jumps on top of her, but she kicks him in the groin. He exclaimed, "You little bitch," while holding himself and then buckling. Eventually, we were able to get free, and we attempted to escape the assault. Okay, Destroyzine is really painting a picture here, Harley then grabs his double-edged dagger from the floor, which had been in his pocket. Okay, so this is where the cut comes in. Harley has the double-edged dagger. Okay. And points it at our female photographer and backs her out of the door while saying, "Get the fuck out of here." This happened while the other editor watched from the doorway in fear, being repeatedly punched by multiple people as the vocalist of DRI blocked him from helping her. After everyone was able to get out of the situation, Harley then takes our bag and starts stealing stuff
You can go ahead and
inside
bring it down.
One thing in it.
None of that is true, right?
Yeah, I never seen that, but it was wrong right off the bat.
All of it. None of it was true. None of Troy, I'll start with you. What were your recollections and your memories from that night?
Well, before I go into all that, I want to say this. And I saw everything that happened before any punches were thrown, any mace was squirted, any daggers, flashlights, tasers. I saw the room because I was walking into that room, and I saw it all go down. And the big reason that I didn't come forward, and again, I didn't really feel a need to, because I think it all eventually came out in the wash. It all got handled legally, Harley, the Cro-Mags, these kids, whatever happened, it was fixed legally through the legal system.
Don't call them kids.
Okay.
That's the thing that pissed me off the most. No, keep going.
Young adults.
Young adults.
Yeah, young adult. They were
young adults.
And so, again, I kind of stayed silent, because in this day and age, you start saying something and social media gets involved, the next thing you know, everybody can twist it, turn it, and then you're not liked anymore. And being a couple older guys in a band, we felt like, if we do this, and if I come forward or anybody comes forward with this and talks about it, these young adults are going to go out on social media and destroy us. And then our band, we're just having fun with trying to do, basically a hobby for us with, it's going to be in the dirt. And so we kind of just said, you know what, we'll just let everybody else handle it. Now, to the story.
And it's 2 years ago. No
Yeah, 2 years
legal
ago.
actions ever came from it.
Yeah.
Nothing.
So the story. So if you've ever been to Cafe 611, you have the main room, which would be the stage and the bar. Then there's 2 side rooms. The one side room is kind of just an overflow for the stage and the bar, and in the back of that is kind of more of a staging area for the bands to go into. Then there's another room off to those 2 rooms. There's 2 ways to go in and out of that room from the bar area or the staging area. That's the room where they had all the merch set up. So you had DRI with Kurt Breck. He had his staging area set up where they're selling shirts. Next to him was Death Wish. And then on the other side of the room there, you had the guys from Destroy Zine. And next to them, you had the Cro-Mag set up. And then there was actually a door also that led to the outside. So I'm coming from the backstage, we call it door, into that room. There was very few people in the room at the time. You know, Kurt Breck was sitting there at his table selling. Destroy Zine were at their table. I think there was at least 2 guys there and a girl. And Harley was there, and I'm pretty sure, I think it was his son was with him. They were actually walking away from them toward me to go toward the backstage as I'm coming through, and I'm heading to go to the outside to go find, you know, the other Troy and those guys, because that's where they were at. And I heard somebody say, Harley, they're not even with a band. And he turned around and said, what? And as soon as he turned around, and he's probably at this point 6, 7, 8 feet away from these young people, and he said, what? And as soon as he turned around, the one guy raised up a can of mace and just lit his face up. I saw the stream, and I'm like, holy shit. And then as soon as that happened, like anybody would have, Harley and his son attacked. And I don't know how they could even pull that off with all that mace in their face, because, I mean, I could smell it.
Mace was
nasty.
everywhere.
They sprayed them first. I did not see Harley do anything to force harm or present danger to these young adults. And he turned around and said, what? And bam, he got hit in the face with all that mace. And as soon as the melee started, I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And I ran out the door to the outside where they all were. I was like, dude, you guys got to get in here. Throw down the Cro-Mags are kicking these young people's ass. And so then everybody starts to run into the room. And in that quick couple seconds, I mean, the room was already a mess. I ran down across through the bar area to try to find the club management, to go in and handle the situation. I didn't want to personally get involved in it.
Right.
And so I think from that point, by the time I got back, things had already kind of changed. But during that time frame, that's when he came into the room. So he could probably tell you the second half of that story.
Tell your version of what you saw.
Well, I was outside with a buddy of mine, and I heard some ruckus, and they had the doors open. So it was kind of warm out. And there was a fight in there, and I was like, oh, my goodness, we didn't play yet. The first thing I thought about, we ain't going to be able to play now.
Right.
So I was kind of upset about that. There's always one in the crowd, I was thinking. So I went in there. I was just trying to break people up. I don't know who was who or what was what. I was just a body that got in between people and separated them, And I remember seeing that girl, and I don't remember who the dudes were. It was kind of dark. Everything was a mess.
But I think it was pretty lit up, actually. Maybe it was dark for you, but I don't know. But
I remember having people in both of my arms holding them apart. And I remember looking at that young lady, and she had fire in her eyes, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I didn't understand what was going on still. And, I was just trying to break stuff up. So he apparently seen the whole thing. So
for me, and with my name being used in it, I never touched anyone. And same as you, I was very conscious of that, right? Like, I don't want to get an assault charge or anything.
And you must have came into the room after I exited.
Right. As soon as I heard it, I come walking in from the outside. I was outside talking to a friend about aliens. I come in, and Harley has the kid in a jiu-jitsu hold. They're on top of Harley's son, who's trying to, I could tell and I didn't know the pepper spray had been done at this point. So I'm looking at Harley Flanagan. Harley Flanagan is at my feet. I'm a fan of the Cro-Mag since 1985, 86. I saw the original lineup. So I'm thinking, do I touch Harley Flanagan? Do I touch this guy, right? Do I pull him off? Thank God someone else, I think it was one of the band members, pulled him off. this kid from the Destroy magazine. I call him a kid, young adult, motherfucker's in his 20s. He jumps up, he looks at me, and he says, "Get me out of here. You're getting your ass stomped." I'd want to go too. So I walked him out. He turns around and he says something about the girlfriend. So I said, "Please just get out of here." I come back and Harley is standing beside the Destroy magazine girl. I mean, as close as you guys are on the couch. He has her baton, the taser, and he's smashing glass. When I first got there, I thought she was with them. I thought she was with the Cro-Mags. And my favorite takeaway from this is we talk about the girl, the redhead, the outfit that she had on, right? To me, it looked like fucking the movie Entrapment, or Mission Impossible with Tom. She had this incredibly skin-tight bodysuit on, like the whole thing
was like lingerie. Yeah,
I saw a bodysuit. And so I come in and Harley looks at me and he says, "She's got to go too." So I'm like, okay. So I turn and I look at this girl. She looks like a model. She looks at me in anger and disgust, but she grabs up all her purses, she had a jacket, and she storms out of the club. That was it. I never grabbed anyone by the neck. I never saw any of the shit that they talk about. I never saw any of it. And then from that, because of their statement, I got all kinds of crazy death threats and, I was getting all kinds of like hate. And I mean, it caused some disruptions to the local scene that like you're talking about, because everyone wanted to believe that I had physically abused this girl.
I never saw that.
No one touched her.
And at the time, I didn't even know you. And when you came in later on in the room,
I was wearing this hat.
Yeah, you were trying to figure it all out, and I actually, honestly, I thought you worked for 611 as like
as
some
security.
Type of security.
Everyone,
I thought you were security.
Look, I had the baton that they used to beat her with. I kept it through the whole show. I should have taken it out.
No, nobody beat her with a baton.
Or Harley. She beat Harley with it. She beat Harley. She attacked Harley with the baton.
Right.
And he took it away from her. I wish I would have kept that. I really do. I should have just taken it out of the club and picked it up at the end of the night, but I didn't. But I was upset when I found out that so much of it had to do with they disagreed with Harley's politics, right? Like that's in their statement. So when I found out that it was politically motivated, it was orchestrated, they brought the pepper spray in, they brought the nightstick in. I don't know. It was wild to be there. It was wild to be part of it.
It was surreal.
I was convinced they were trying to have the show canceled. And I believe because of what everyone did back there, they kept it safe and the show went on. I mean, I didn't realize that there was this big hoopla about it for another day or two afterwards. And then all of the fallout began to come from there.
Yeah.
So.
And for me, I mean, obviously, you hear things about Harley Flanagan, skinheads, New York hardcore scene, and I always love the Cro-Mags music.
Yeah, man.
And I don't judge people for those comments. I judge the music. I love the music. But when I went in there and we're nobody, but I met Harley and just had light conversations with him. He was a nice guy. He was a really cool guy, down to earth. There wasn't. I've been around skinheads before, back in the 80s and 90s, and some of these guys are cool, and some of them were a little hard. He wasn't. He was a really cool guy, and I don't see why. Maybe now that rap got stirred up again, and I think it was unnecessary, and I think Harley's a genuine guy. He's really cool. He cares about people. He cares about music. He cares about the scene.
Yeah.
And everything that happened that night, that was uncalled for. And I think somebody else was trying to stir up the pot for their own
benefit.
Their own benefits. I think that's truly what was going on there.
I'm not sure if the magazine is even still around.
Right.
And I'd heard rumors, there were rumors after all of this went down that John Josephs was the one that was actually behind it, that he had paid some money to the magazine for them to put it on. And it very much felt like an internet publicity stunt.
It sure did.
And it was fascinating because there's only like that small clip of video that was ever made public, which I'm not in. I'm not in it, right? You can the whatever video is shot happens before I come into the room. But I suffered a lot from it. I don't really care about it, but it really helped me to understand that the punk of today is not my punk. It's not the, it's nothing like, I never went to punk looking for civics, right? I wasn't expecting this to be fucking a civics lecture.
Right.
I don't go to music for those kind of things. I have other forums and other.
Yeah, you get it for the release, and
right?
The,
For
the enjoyment, the pleasure of the music. We all do,
and the insanity, So and for them, for their clothes, and for them to say it was because of Harley's association with the Proud Boys or this, that, and the other. That just, it bothered me and on a lot of levels. And I don't, same with that. I don't believe there was a lot with that magazine that was organic. I always wondered who was putting the money into it because it seemed to have a lot of money. But I'll extend the invitation to those two key players. You're welcome to come on the show and discuss whatever happened. It was 2 years ago. No criminal charges ever came of it, So there you go.
Yeah. And maybe there's a story that led up to everything before I walked in the room. But again, what I saw when I walked in that room is Harley Flanagan walking away, and I'm heading into the room, and him hearing something and turning around, and as soon as he turned around,
I think it was about table space.
I couldn't tell you
because DRI was in the one
interview.
corner. Harley and them was they had a big table close to the outside door there where people went out and smoked, and that magazine people, they were on the far end of that table right before the door, and I think that's what the problem was when that dude said they're not even in the band because it was about table space. I think
that's ridiculous.
That's my.
They and of course Destroy Magazine in their statement they paint almost like a rape, like sexual essay. They make it really ugly, same as what you were saying. I saw nothing like that from Harley that night. I saw him stay around after the show was over to talk to fans, to sign autographs. I can definitely say for me, it was my last fanboy moment because I definitely thought he could be a dick. There were a couple of times that he was a little rude to me, but I'm sure I got this fucking nerves. But, it was cool to be close to my favorite star.
Oh,
right?
dude, for me, the same. And for me, DRI, and that's one of the bands that I didn't mention in the beginning of this segment, but DRI was huge for me and him both.
Yeah.
I mean,
You could definitely hear DRI in our stuff.
Yeah. And I actually remember when I got to the show, we're doing load in, and Kurt Brett walks in. He's sitting at the bar. The bar's really not even up and running, and he's trying to get a beer, and he's like, "Can I just get a beer?" And the lady's like, "Well, we got to have cash." He's like, "I don't have cash." And I'm like, "Dude, I got him a beer. I got some cash. I bought Kurt Brett a beer, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever for me to get to buy, this guy that I look up to all these years, a beer." Because I remember seeing DRI my first time. I was probably like 19 years old down at the old 930 Club with the pole in the middle of the floor. And that's one of those.
That's where I saw the Cro-Mags.
Yeah, and that's one of those shows too where it's kind of crazy. I had really long blonde hair at the time, but I was into punk and all this other stuff. Dude, I went to that show with DRI, and I was one of the few people there with long hair. It was mostly punks and skinheads. And, man, I was right in the middle of it, just living a dream, dancing in front of DRI. And then I got to play with them.
No, that's awesome. I got the photograph, and I met the Cro-Mags a few times back in the 80s. I saw the original lineup, Age of Quarrel, and I saw them a couple of more times at the old 930 Club. I loved the old 930 Club. It was really a cool space. All right. Thanks for talking about that. I've wanted to discuss this whole thing with a couple of different people. I'm happy that you guys were there, bore witness to it. Now it's just part of punk rock lore.
Sure.
What always disturbed me with Dan Frampton and with the Destroy Magazine portrayal was constantly referring to the adult fetish model as the young girl, the young girl, the young girl. So they make it sound like, she's 12, but she is a 20-something fetish model.
Pretty sure she was like a foot taller than me.
Yes. Yeah. That was my thought too. I had to look. Yes.
Well,
yeah.
and you know, for us, you know, being a little older and kind of being out of the scene for a while, when they came walking in and we're all doing load in and setup, and she came walking in and it's like, what is that all about?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's
that
what's
outfit
changed.
was
I thought that's what's
right.
changed
That's what
over
that
the past
outfit
20
was.
years.
What's it called? The sugar trap, right? Like
Yeah,
you know,
maybe.
one of my argument was that they tried to lure Harley in so they can say whatever you want.
Yeah.
You know.
But I was thinking, wow, is this what young women now when they
Yeah.
go out to these clubs
Yeah.
and stuff dress like? I don't think that that's so much the case.
Uh-huh.
You know, because I've been to a lot of shows now since,
Yeah.
and sure, girls, you know, have different styles than they did back in the 80s and 90s. You know, the 80s were pretty loose, where the 90s kind of got baggy and flannelly. But she was definitely, she stood out.
Catherine Zeta-Jones in Entrapment. That was the outfit that she that I thought she had. Anyway, yeah. And they wore the Destroy magazine. They wore the ski mask. That was part of their whole shtick too. And I didn't really care for that because I see those masks and the first thing that comes to my mind is rapist. You know, so
I think burglar, but
terrorist. You know, but yeah, I was
the
thinking
old
of
school burglar.
the movie. What is it? Shit. It's a werewolf movie. And there's a scene where, the guys are wearing those kind of ski masks, and there's like a rape scene, and I can't remember that.
Well,
The Howling, the original The Howling, The Howling.
I will say this though, and you know, I wanted to bring this up. I do think there is hope for the scene, and all the scenes out there. They're always going to be evolving. They're always going to be changing. But I recently went to a show up in Greencastle at a place they call the Blue Heron. I think it's a catering event center, so it's kind of like your Grange Hall, your Knights of Columbus places. But the owner, you know, he puts on hardcore metal punk shows and stuff like that there. And I went up there for some locals that I know that were playing and some guys we played with down in Baltimore. And I wanted to see him, and I wanted to do some supporting. And here I am. I'm the oldest guy in the room, you know. At one point, somebody asked me if I was the owner's dad. But the young people, the young adults, kids, whatever they all were that were there, it was a flashback to the back in the day when we used to go to the Knights of Columbus Hall shows, the Fire Hall shows. They were having a great time. They all were just acting a fool, dancing, you know, just being what they should be, and it was a really cool scene. It was a really good time, and you know, I was glad to be there, even though I kind of felt a little older and out of place.
Yeah,
I felt like, man, I wish I was 20 years younger. I'd be out there dancing with them, you know, moshing it up. But I do think there's hope, and there are good, you know, still good things out there for the scenes. But then I think there's some other things that need to be worked on.
Yeah. It's one of the fascinating things for me now is that when we were younger, there were rarely older people at local shows.
Right.
But now there's very much an eclectic mix of ages. Like I see old punk rockers, old metalheads that I've known since the 80s and the 90s at the shows today. So, you know, I love seeing that because it lets you know that music is it's not just a generational thing, right? It goes to everyone. You fall in love with the genre of music and you follow it, you play it through your whole lifespan, you love it through your whole lifespan. So, you know, I want to believe that we can all coexist in a creative space like that. Age shouldn't really matter. But it was a really crazy thing that happened. You know, I believe that there was motives, you know. But like I said, it was 2 years ago.
Yep.
Just part of rock and roll lore.
And there's been a lot of great shows since, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
And more drama with the Cro-Mags. I mean, and drama with bands. I mean, that's just par for the course, right? Like, I mean, the Rolling Stones, there was every band has lots of drama. There's lots of infighting. It doesn't make a band less viable, or I don't know.
We're wanting to add another rhythm guitar player, but that's the one thing that brings with it.
Yeah.
More drama.
Yeah.
More drama.
Well, I think for us, though, more so it's the onstage mishaps that happen, and we just had the most terrible luck with onstage mishaps. Like the last show we played.
Yeah, heard everything great as soon as we started. What happened?
Yeah. Well, as soon as I started playing, I mean, how often do you see a cymbal stand break?
Right.
And as soon as I start playing, it actually my cymbal stand up where the cymbal's mounted snapped off and broke. It's metal,
Right.
and it broke. And we have all kinds of crazy things over the years, and maybe all bands have, but we just have little on stage mishaps all the time.
The only thing I could hear was the delay of the outside speakers coming back. So I'd hit the guitar, and there'd be that little delay, and that's how I heard things. And boy, I had to pay attention.
Yeah.
No. All right, we're going to bring this show to a close. And one of the things that we do here is this is labeled as a conspiracy channel. I need to put on my They Live glasses so I can see through. Joseph Goebbels and Mengele here from PBS. Can you play this out, Nick?
Before I answer, could you tell me what you're paying me to do? Do you want the conspiracies or do you want the truth? I just
Truth. Nothing but the truth.
You know what?
Tell
it
us
is-
there,
it
Mr.
illustrates how much of it is a
Goebbels.
circus, how much it is a performance. Well, you see, and I worked with Tucker Carlson for 9 years at the Weekly Standard. We helped co-found the magazine together, and I had a wonderful time with Tucker. But I watched him, and I watched other people who I've known who've gone on to those kinds of careers get captured by the audience. The audience, they feel the visceral rise of the audience when they do something edgy and crazy. And then once you give them that, the dose has to keep going up and up and up. And they just captured by it, and they get dragged to wherever the audience wants them to go. And they become, in Tucker's case, I don't know Mr. Bongino, but he is a different human being than the one I knew. And I think it is the seductive process of populist sort of drug dealing, basically, intellectual drug dealing.
What's to be done about it? I mean, the suspect in the January 6th pipe bomber case reportedly said that he believed the conspiracy and the false claims that Trump didn't win the election. There are clear consequences to this misinformation and these conspiracy theories.
Are there? We've just seen more than 1,000 people who participated in the riot of the Capitol on January 6th were held accountable in courts of law only to be pardoned by the President of the United States. So at this point, great, you found the bomber. Should we start the countdown clock on when that person gets pardoned?
David?
I just think there should be more shame for conspiracy thinking. If you think January 6th was an inside job, if you think 9/11 was an inside job, you are spreading the kind of acidic disinformation that destroys all our institutions. And just to ride my hobby horse for a little bit, if you think the FBI and Joe Biden's Justice Department was hiding some massive conspiracy about Jeffrey Epstein, you are defaming the men and women of the FBI and the DOJ. And it's an attempt at dehumanization. And people spin these conspiracy theories, and so I'm just, questions are being asked. It's all dishonorable inference, but it has clear corrosive effects on democracy. That if we can't trust the institutions of our government, then we do not have a democracy. And conspiracy thinking is a kind of acidic kind of mental disease that undermines that.
Indeed. David Brooks, Jonathan Capehart.
You can go ahead and
Thanks to
close
you
that.
both. Thanks.
Okay, so I want to address Mr. Goebbels and his Mengele accomplice. These are supposed to be journalists, and obey, accept, question nothing, comply. Your thoughts on Brooks and Capehart there?
Don, honestly, when this type of stuff comes out for me, it's really not interesting to me personally. I look at the world, 56 years of experience in life, and I judge people in anything on my experience in life. Whether I'm right or wrong, that's for me to do, and I judge it on that. So I personally don't like to go down the path. I don't even watch that stuff because it's not for me, but I think Troy's got some energy on it for you.
No, go ahead, Troy.
Oh, no.
I question everything.
But it's just, I've been told I'm a conspiracy guy since the 90s.
Yep.
Early 90s, I was the one saying they're chemtrails. Everybody thought I was nuts. Now it's geoengineering, right? So I knew a lot of things that was going on a long time ago, and I don't really watch anything now because it just drives me crazy. It's just everything that's in front of you is just a bunch of crap, and it clogs up your brain, and I just don't need it in there. So, But that's a bunch of boohoo right there.
My favorite part of this with David Brooks is he talks about how long he worked side by side with Tucker Carlson. So it's like you believe my lies, not his lies. You know, I'm always left with, there's a famous quote from Hassan Sabbah. He's the founder of the Assassins, right? This is William Burroughs loved to quote this: nothing is true and everything is permitted. We live in a strange time, but for me, it's really difficult when I'm listening to who are supposed to be the leading journalists of this day and age telling me to question nothing. You accept the party line, or you're just a piece of shit that needs to be taken out back and shot.
You know how many times I say sheep a day?
Sheep. They're sheep.
That's
question everything.
Yep.
Everything. Anyway, it's been great having you guys on the show. I encourage everyone to please follow SLOPJAW on Instagram, Spotify, Facebook, and come out and check out some of their shows.
Get off your asses and come to shows. I mean, that's the one thing that nobody does anymore is go to shows. And it's sad because, you know, these shows still have like 5 or 6 bands play. That's your crowd, the other bands, and we all stay. We stay and we watch each other, and we, you know. But where's all the other people? Is everybody now that's a fan of metal, what player, and in a band, or all the metalheads? Where are you? Because you know, shows are sparse sometimes, and you know that's why I do it. I don't do it for the money. I don't do it for the fame, because there's none of that for me. I do it. My biggest dream, and if I could go to my grave saying I got to play one more show where there's a whole room full of people just pitting and moshing it up, tearing the room to pieces, I'd go to my grave a happy man. I would. That's what I want. I just want a bunch of people going nuts.
I go fairly frequently to the local shows, and it's completely hit or miss. Yeah, you know, and there's no guarantee on who's going to bring an audience. There's just there's not.
Well, if they don't get them, they don't want to mosh. I'll do my own brand of moshing behind the drum set, because that's how I play them, dude. I'm right there in it. You know, whether when I was younger I was in a pit slamming away. Now I'm just sitting there playing the drums, still slamming away, and I'm doing it for everybody to enjoy.
Are you guys a fan of A Christmas Story?
Ralphie?
Ralphie.
Yeah, if I've watched it.
How about you?
Shoot your eye out?
It's been a while, but my wife is crazy about it.
Yeah, I had a girlfriend turn me on to it. I've loved it ever since. It's a fun movie. I've had a great time with you two, and you know, thanks for the conversation. And this kind of stuff is important. I wish you guys a Merry Christmas. I hope you have a good holiday with the families and with the
Happy
bands.
Holidays.
And I hope you guys have a great time on stage Saturday night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will.
All right. Nick, you want to go ahead and close this out?